Hello, my name is Maya, and this is my personal project. The main topic about my personal project is, of course, the Honda NSX, if you couldn't tell. My project goals were to dive deep into the history and the design of the NSX, to create a scale model of the NSX, and to build or draw my own designs and make a 3D model. Excuse me. Here. And create, of course, this poster. So why did I choose this as my personal project? I've been obsessed with cars since I was a kid. Ask my parents. I love fast things, and more importantly, I love the design of cars. I dream of becoming a car designer one day, and this is my first step. So I will begin by talking about the history of the NSX. So the origins of the NSX started with the Honda HPX, created in 1984. This was a concept car created by Honda. So HPX stands for Honda Pininfarina Experimental. So this was like the foundation of the NSX. The NSX project was led by chief designer Nicholas Zander and executive chief engineer Shigeru Uehara. So the initial target of the NSX was the Ferrari 328, but it was later changed to the Ferrari 348. So the design drew heavy inspiration from the 348, as you can see from the front end over there. There was a lot of influence from the F-16 fighter jet, so you can see this is the cockpit of the NSX, and this is the cockpit of an F-16, and this was the cockpit of the HPX. So the body emphasized ergonomics and visibility, like the F-16, which has 360 degrees visibility. Engineering innovations include, it was the first mass production car to feature an all-aluminum monocoque body, which saved around 200 kilograms of weight, and an all-aluminum suspension, which saved another 20 kilograms of weight. The NSX also featured a double wishbone suspension system, advanced anti-lock brakes, and drive-by-wire technology. The NSX became Honda's rolling demo of their technology from Formula One, which leads into my next section, which is the influence of Ayrton Senna, which was a Formula One legend who won multiple F1 championships. So Senna test drove the NSX at Suzuka Circuit in Japan, and they told Honda that they should stiffen the chassis of the car. And of course, Honda listened, because why wouldn't you? It's an F1 legend. Duh. And then Honda even gifted Senna an NSX as a little thank you gift with the license plate BSS8888. So the B stands for Becco, which was Senna's childhood nickname, and the two S's stand for Silva Senna, which are his family names. And the 4 8s stand for his first world championship in 1988. NSX's influence on the McLaren F1, the car, not the Formula One, which is this one right here. So Gordon Murray was the designer of the McLaren F1, and he said once he test drove the NSX, all benchmark cars such as Ferrari, Porsche, Lamborghini all went out the window because the NSX was just such an amazing car. And it was great for handling, ride quality, and everyday usability, with some instances of cars going over 100,000 kilometers without any issues with reliability. Next, I'll move on to the racing achievements. So the NSX competed in the 24 Hours of Le Mans, a very famous 24-hour world endurance race. So they went in 1994, so they entered 3 cars, which placed 14th, 16th, and 18th out of 66 cars. In 1995, Kunimitsu team placed 8th place, which is the best finish from the NSX. And in 1996, the NSX got 3rd in the GT2 class and 16th overall. So the NSX was not just pretty, it was very fast. Another racing series it was part of was Super GT, which is Japan's own racing series. So it was adapted for racing, so the engine was placed vertically, so front to back, instead of horizontally like most traditional supercars. They used a C32B V6, which was modified to around 500 horsepower, but it was later changed to a turbocharged C30A because of regulation changes. The NSX won several championships, but it was eventually replaced by the HSV010 in 2010. I'll move on to the modern-day NSX, also known as the second generation. So this car was produced in 2016 to 2022. The original NSX was produced from 1990 to 2005, but it was eventually stopped production until Honda created this generation. So this was an all-new car. It was not an evolution of the NSX NA1 from the 1990s. It was led by, the design was led by Ted Klaus, head of development. The car focused more on driver ergonomics. The powertrain was developed in Japan, whereas the rest of the car was developed in the US in its Ohio division. It had a 3.5-liter twin-turbo V6 with 5 electric motors. So that meant it was a hybrid. It has 573 horsepower, it was all-wheel drive, it had a 9-speed dual-clutch transmission, and limited slip differential. So the hybrid technology meant there was good acceleration and control of the car, which was why the NSX was praised for its very comfortable and stable at high speeds, and it's very reliable and usable as a daily supercar, which most supercars you probably don't want a daily because it's very expensive to maintain. However, a lot of people did say it lacked identity and it couldn't take the world by storm like the NA1 did. The final model was the NSX Type S, which had around 602 brake horsepower, but only 350 units were produced worldwide. The NSX's future is still being written. Acura hinted at a potential third generation of the NSX, which could be electric. So they call this the Performance Electric Vision concept, which is this one right here. Can't really see it because, But yeah, so this means that the NSX history is still being written and it's still evolving. Before I move on to the next section, which is the design, does anyone have any questions? Yes?
Why did you choose the NSX?
Because it's one of my favorite cars right now, and it's just an amazing car, as you can see. Any more questions, comments? Nothing? Okay, I will move on now. So going back to the HPX, it was a very futuristic design for the time. It was only a concept car, and it was a wedge design, which was very common at the time. So it was designed by Pininfarina, here. They say they're a global icon of Italian style. Pininfarina is renowned for its extraordinary ability to create timeless beauty, and they made cars for iconic brands like Ferrari, Alfa Romeo, Maserati, Peugeot, General Motors, etc., etc. So the most notable feature of the HPX is there are no doors. Instead, this canopy up here lifts up like an F-16 fighter jet, and it was and it was powered by a 2-liter V6 engine, which produced around 225 horsepower. This acted as the foundation of the NSX. Okay, so what is a wedge design? I put some cheese wedges here to give you guys a general idea. It literally looks like a cheese wedge. So this is a Lamborghini Marzo, and this is the DeLorean, as you all know from Back to the Future. So these cars had sharp noses, angular lines, and low profiles for maximum aerodynamic efficiency. So it was Winibald Kamm, a very famous aerodynamicist, who said that if a car cannot have a long trailing tail, the next best thing was to chop it off. So that's why they have such abrupt back ends. So yeah, and this is more about like the influence of the F-16. So you can see here more clearly the HPX interior. It looks a lot like a fighter jet. So yeah, so the model I'm focusing on for my personal project is the NSX NA1, which is this one right here, and all of these. So it was a mid-engine layout, so there was lots of room in the trunk and there was a lot of leg room in the seating area. So, very great family car, grocery getter. Awesome. The roofline and the windshield is, of course, influenced by the F-16. It was powered by a 3-liter naturally aspirated, so it didn't have a turbocharger or a supercharger, with 270 horsepower. The goal was to make a supercar that's reliable, comfortable, and usable daily. I forgot to mention over here that the price of the NSX was $60,000 compared to Ferrari's price of $95,000 plus $1,000. So there was a big price difference, which is exactly what Honda wanted, because they wanted to be a competitor to Ferrari and show the world that Japan can create such amazing cars at lower prices and were reliable. Okay, so influences. This is the Oldsmobile Airtech, and this is the Mitsubishi HSR. Not Taiwan's HSR, unfortunately, but they did pull a lot of inspiration from Japan's version of the HSR, which is the Shinkansen. So the reason that the Shinkansen was a major influence is because the Shinkansen is actually made completely out of aluminum. And like I mentioned over here, the body is made out of aluminum. So the development team of the NSX had to take a lot of trips between two development facilities. And that meant a lot of trips on the Shinkansen. And while they were riding the Shinkansen, they realized that the train was completely made out of aluminum, which made it very light, very fast, and very adaptable. So that's why they decided to make the NSX out of aluminum. To answer your question, why is the NSX legendary? It balances performance, everyday comfort, and reliability, something a lot of supercars struggle to do. It inspired the design of the McLaren F1, a very iconic car. It had success in the Le Mans and the Super GT. And it ranked number 27 by Edmunds' top 100 cars of all time list. It's not just a car, it's a legend on wheels. Also, in 2002, the NSX received a facelift. The most notable feature is that they removed the pop-up headlights. That's about it. Before I move on to my own design, does anyone have any questions about the design of the NSX?
What count as reliable for this?
It's reliable because there are a lot of instances of it, NSX, going over like 100,000 kilometers without having any major reliability issues. So there's nothing wrong with the engine, nothing wrong with anything, like any of the features of the car. A lot of supercars, they need to be maintained very well, or else they'll break down. And of course, it's really expensive to fix these cars. You're not gonna daily drive a Lamborghini and expect it to still work well after 100,000 kilometers, because that's not what it's designed for. But the NSX was, because it's made by Honda. Okay, any more questions? No? Okay. So this is my own personal design. This is called the NSX Zero, because it's cool. So this is my take on the modern version of the NSX NA1, which is my focus. But I still kept a lot of retro design choices. Okay. So the canopy of the NSX is inspired by the HPX, because I wanted to incorporate that concept car feel and that futuristic design. The side vents here are inspired by the Ferrari F355, as you can see. Okay. The rear wing of the NSX was inspired by the Ferrari F40. So the reason I chose to use the Ferrari F40 as the influence for the rear wing is because the look of it and the design is very similar to the NSX's. The only difference is it's bigger. Another difference is the NSX has its rear taillights going all the way through the spoiler, which is what I also included in the design. Okay, as you can see here. And then on the hood scoop here, it was inspired by the NSX Type R. Hood scoop, yeah, so right there. It's to cool down the engine and then also for more aerodynamics. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. But other than those few design changes, I kept most of the NSX original because I still wanted to make it feel like an NSX and I didn't want to change too much. So like I kept the pop-up headlights because that's one of the features I love about this car. I really wish people still had pop-up headlights, but you know. Yes.
Is the Honda NSX the meme car where they blink? Or?
No, that's the Mazda Miata. It's a smaller, cuter, rounder car that's very slow. Yeah, it has the. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions about my personal design? Nope. Okay. So now I'll talk about the challenges I faced. You know, as students, procrastination. I procrastinated on the design because I was scared it wouldn't turn out good. I was scared it wouldn't look good. But then I started designing and I realized I'm pretty good at this, if I do say so myself. Yeah, I felt like Adrian Newey. He's a Formula One designer. Yeah. Also, this incorporates what I want to do in the future, car design. So it was something I really enjoyed and really loved and connect with personally. However, the design I created, there are a lot of limitations. I didn't explore real-world aerodynamics. I didn't explore real-world engineering. So this car might not be producible, but that's okay, because most designers don't make producible cars in their first try. They need to work with engineers. But once I have like a broader knowledge about car design, aerodynamics, engineering, then maybe I'll come back and fix this design and make it drivable, make it makeable. So, yeah. I'm not done yet. I'm almost done, I promise. The skills I gained. So research, obviously I researched the history and the design. I learned how to create a beautiful design sketch. I forgot to mention this one. But I learned how to 3D model my design. It doesn't look that good, I know. But, it's my first time. I need time to improve. But most importantly, I gained confidence in my ability to create designs. I'll let you see it later, I promise. So, product evaluation. The model, pretty good. Everything looks nice. It looks like an NSX. The only reason it's pretty good is because of the paint job. It doesn't look pretty, doesn't look clean, but that's okay. The design, excellent. I'm very happy with it. I think it looks like a professional design sketch, if I do say so myself. The poster and guide, also excellent. It's very in-depth, very clear, and very informative. The 3D model, fair. It's not the greatest. It's a work in progress. But overall, I absolutely loved working on this project. It is my passion. It's cars. I love cars. I felt like a real designer, even if it's for a school project. I learned a lot about the NSX, and it made me want to do more of this in the future. But now all I need is a paycheck. Does anyone have any questions? No? That is the end of my presentation. Okay, you guys can